It was a wild year for weather in Canada, and as we look back, we need to begin with the last week of 2022 when a historic blizzard affected Ontario and Quebec just as Christmas arrived. Holiday travel was stopped in its tracks, and some people spent Christmas Eve stuck in department stores, including our own storm hunter, Mark Robinson. The frigid air that followed created stunning works of art on Lake Erie courtesy of Mother Nature, but it wasn't such good news for the geese. While many in the east were enjoying an unusually warm winter, it took a toll on Ottawa's famous Rideau Canal. 2023 was the first year the skating rink failed to open due to the lack of ice. A unique challenge would come to Newfoundland in early spring as about a dozen dolphins became stranded in shifting sea ice. Locals made a valiant effort to save as many dolphins as they could in what was an incredibly difficult situation. Spring melt hit Quebec hard when it mixed with days of heavy rain to produce devastating floods. 2 firefighters were swept away by torrents and lost their lives. Dry weather sparked an early start to the forest fire season in Alberta. Ash raining down on the city of Edmonton over the Victoria Day weekend was an eerie precursor to the season to come. 1 week later, flames roared up in Nova Scotia, destroying hundreds of homes and prompting evacuations. It would be Nova Scotia's worst fire season on record. Hardly a week after that, BC was already experiencing the second largest fire in its history, the Donny Creek wildfire. It would go on to become BC's largest wildfire ever recorded. At the same time, lightning strikes caused terrible wildfires in Quebec. The remote fires were captured on satellite imagery, which also showed the incredible amount of smoke that drifted into southern Ontario. Air quality dropped to the worst in the world, and hazy skies that are more common in the west blanketed Toronto to Ottawa. On Canada Day, a massive EF4 tornado struck several homes in Alberta, leaving many of them uninhabitable. It was on the ground for half an hour and was the strongest tornado Alberta had experienced since 1987. Later in July, Calgary experienced an incredible hailstorm when a strong system parked itself over the city. So much hail fell that some areas were compared to ice flows. The Ottawa area took the brunt of storms throughout the summer. On July 13th, 2 tornadoes touched down, followed by more tornado warnings 2 weeks later, and major flooding due to heavy rain 2 weeks after that. Nova Scotia also experienced incredible flooding in July due to training thunderstorms. 4 people were killed after over 250 millimeters of rain fell in one day. The lack of rain in BC was a big factor leading to the worst fire season on record, but it came to a head for many in late August when the city of Kelowna was suddenly faced with rapidly advancing flames. 150,000 people were put on evacuation alert. While Kelowna was spared a mass evacuation, Yellowknife was not so lucky. The entire city was evacuated for 3 weeks, a tough situation with only one road in and out of town. In September, Hurricane Lee suddenly jumped from a Category 1 to a Category 5 in a single day, with its sights set on Atlantic Canada. While damage from the storm was minimal, Atlantic Canada found itself in the cone of uncertainty far more often this hurricane season than many southern states on the Gulf of Mexico. The roundup of this past year began with a blizzard and it ends with a blizzard. Nunavut, which is no stranger to frigid, blustery conditions, experienced full blizzard conditions for 3 days straight, claiming 1 life. A winter storm of that intensity was shocking, even for Canada's seasoned north.